Welcome everybody to another BDA Boxing podcast, broadcasting to you live from the true north. This is your friend Mr. BDA, and alongside with me as always my co-host, the one, the only King Bucho. King, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Now listen guys, we're only going to be here for about an hour, maybe an hour 15 minutes. We do have to go after that, but we'll try to cover everything that happened this past couple of days, or this past Saturday I should say, a couple of days. Want to give a shout out to everybody in the chat room listening to us right now. Who do we have here? Hold on a second. We have the Quags, Nino Gadji, the Punisher, Overhand, Sakib Rafiq. Gadji says, oh shit, I already lost the comment. He says he's snorting coke off Hooker's ass. It takes time, man. I don't have a Pulp Fiction moment, lol. The Punisher says, recognize the Matrix. Wilder is funny for all the wrong reasons. Nino Gadji says, to be honest, I wanted Benavidez to get cracked from all that head shaking he was doing while dropping his hands. Yeah, let's talk about that. Let's get right into it. By the way, Overhand says, BDA is back from his job DJing for Girl Collection. I'm afraid I don't get that reference. Girl Collection. It sounds like one of those porn movies that I used to produce back in California. The Fight Cause says Sotomayor was dissing how hood rat Crawford and his family was. All right, Bucho, could you enlighten me? Who the hell is Sotomayor? Because I saw you mentioning him in the
it's
chat.
the guy that he's African American and he talks he criticizes black culture basically.
Tommy Sotomayor, right?
Yeah, Tommy.
Yeah, well, that's a good. Yeah, he's got a good channel. Good channel.
Yeah.
I can understand why he's being criticized for being essentially against the NCPs. Have you heard about that meme, the NCP meme? It's going around.
No, what is that?
NCP essentially means non-controllable player. It started in the, some right-wing message boards, and it essentially refers to people that don't think for themselves, that have no inner dialogue. And it's represented by that meme. You know that meme, that gray guy? There's a gray dude, and he's expressionless.
No, I don't know.
All right, you know what?
Oh, the white face. It's not gray. It's a white face, man.
Hold on a second.
I don't know, man. I don't fucking know.
You don't care? All right, listen. Fuck it. You're not answering my questions. Are you still there, Bucho? Oh, I think he's handling the invites. All right, listen. Let's get right down to it because we only have an hour here. All right, Terrence Crawford. All right, Terrence Crawford, 12th round TKO knockout, whatever the fuck it was, stoppage over the very game. Benavidez, Jose Benavidez Jr., the brother of super middleweight contender. What's his name? David Benavidez. Jesus, my mind is really going overboard today. But yeah, suffice to say, he put on a very good fight. It's interesting because he had the height, he had the reach, he had a bit of experience from sparring, not necessarily in the pro ranks, but certainly in the gym he was doing the good work, and he was countering Terrence Crawford. Terrence Crawford was doing a lot of head shaking himself, but Benavidez did well for himself until he got caught with that beautiful right uppercut. Bucho, what did you think? Did you think Crawford did a good job? And what did you think of Benavidez' decision to start trading with his hands down in the last round?
That was pretty fucking stupid, man. But I just want to address something. In the chat, Trap Media, listen, you can't. Nobody fucking blocked you, man. You probably blocked Precise or something, and you can't get into the Hangouts, man. We didn't fucking block you. Why would I send you an invite and when I block you or something? Like, it doesn't make fucking sense. Anyways.
Wait, I don't get it. What?
Yeah, because Trap can't. He can't get into the Hangouts. So.
Well, it happened to that other guy last episode, or before the last episode. Remember that what's his name? Ken something? He couldn't get on either. Kyle Lurch, he couldn't get on. Man. You don't know? I know. All right.
Anyways, Benavidez, I mean, what was that weird stance with his elbows sticking out? Like, I don't know. This guy had... some people are saying, oh, well, it's because he didn't have one leg and that affected his performance. I mean, no. Crawford was going to win this fight no matter what. So, And yeah, the 12th round, he finally got a bit of some balls and started throwing, exchanging, and he got caught, man. Well, there's nothing to say, man.
Yeah, he was doing pretty well when he was being safe. I mean, at least he wasn't going to get knocked out that way. But then when he started trading, one hand down, it was over. That's what this is what I tell people, and I've said it before. And hopefully, unfortunately, we can't post any Terence Crawford film analysis because Top Rank is pretty strict about their protecting their property. But Terence Crawford loves it when people trade with him. He has that very good ability to keep his eyes open, see what's going on during the heat of the battle, and catch you with his heavy left hand. And his right hand ain't that bad either. So trading with Terence Crawford is a bad idea. I do have to give some credit to Benavidez. He tried going for it in the last round, but he just ended up. You live by the gun, you die by the gun. And here's the other thing about Terence Crawford, real quick, because people are talking about Errol Spence against him, and some people think Errol Spence walks through him, and they think that Spence is going to be too tough. Terence Crawford has that mean streak inside of him. Now, that being said, I didn't get a chance to comment on what happened in the weigh-in the day before the fight, where Benavidez pushed Crawford. Already there was some bad blood between them, so he pushed Crawford, and Crawford tried to get him with a right hook right away. There's also the story, or I think he said it himself, Crawford, that he used to be a bully when he was young. Then you look at his family. I'm not trying to make fun of him or anything, but they're all overweight. I think, as we all know, most bullies have a chip on their shoulder, and I think that's exactly what's going on with Crawford. He also has been getting in trouble outside of the ring, in bowling alleys and outside of mechanic shops. So I'm starting to get a little worried about him and about whether he's going to be able to keep his cool both outside and inside the ring, especially against Errol Spence. He does seem to be like the consummate professional, Crawford, which means that once he's in the ring, he doesn't do anything stupid. But I don't know, we'll see. I mean, I got to tell you, just like with Khabib last week, losing control, not a good sign. Not a good sign. And I see we've got Precise in the Hangouts. You know what that means?
Dependent upon how you interpret the data.
What's up with all the transvestites in Hollywood, though?
Because if you're a postmodernist and you don't have any standards, you're always going to keep moving the goalpost, and you're never going to stick to your own standards because you don't have any standards.
Yeah, that's right. You gotta have standards. I always say it. Precise, are you there?
Yes, sir.
All right, good to have you on board. How's the channel going? I see you're getting, every time I look at it, you're getting more and more subscribers.
It's all right, man. It's a good little distraction from the realities of life.
Do you care about subscribers, or is it that just one thing of, hey, whoever wants to listen listens, and you're just gonna keep doing your thing?
I do and I don't. I do, but I don't care all that much, right? Like, I block people all the time just for being dickheads, you know what I mean? If I really cared that much, I wouldn't do that. But so I do and I don't, you know what I mean?
I think I understand what you're saying. Now look, good to have you on board. Did you catch the fights last night?
Just the main event. That's all I really cared about. Yes, I did. Thanks for having me.
What's your assessment of what happened last night?
I think Crawford, with that rally late in the fight and that miraculous almost knockout, saved himself from a serious embarrassment, getting owned by a peg leg in the first 6 rounds of the fight, even knocked down in the 4th round. No one seems to have noticed that, but Benavidez knocked him down. He caught him with the clean right hand, and Crawford's glove touched the canvas, and they didn't want to replay that for some odd reason. But I thought he was getting beaten I thought Benavidez took maybe 4 of the first 6 rounds, and then he got tired. Crawford adjusted a little bit, and Benavidez seemed to get tired. His hand started dropping. He stopped using his lead hand. His peg leg was even stiffer in the last 6 rounds. And Crawford, I think his skill gets overrated, but he doesn't get enough credit for his stamina and physical condition. I think that's one thing that gets overlooked, and people say skill. He is skillful, but I think it's really his stamina that wins the fights, because he carries his power late and he really opens up late against these guys.
Yeah, that's a good point. That he never really seems. I've never seen him tired in a fight.
Never.
I think partially that has to do also with the fact that he's always in control of the pace and of the fight. But then that raises the question: has his opposite? I know I've defended him in the past, but now with Benavidez, Felix Diaz, I mean they're good fighters, and he's dominating them the way he's supposed to. Because I do think he's a superior fighter. But that begs the question: I mean, how many more of these guys are we going to see him against before he actually finds somebody that can test him?
Well, he's been very much protected by Bob Arum, and he has a whole cherry-picked career with a couple of calculated risks in there, but not really in the ring, if you know what I'm saying. I'm referring to the
Right.
Posto fight. But, the Benavidez fight should have happened 2, maybe 3 years ago when Benavidez had some kind of momentum. He was active, it was before he got shot in the leg, and he was chasing Crawford around, but they weren't confident. They didn't want to put him in there with Crawford. Instead, he fought guys like Gillon and Delorme and some other bums. Instead of fighting Benavidez when it made sense to fight him, and we would have gotten a better fight, they waited till he was basically inactive and, not looking all that good anymore. And Crawford was, most importantly, I think Crawford finally started fighting at his natural weight division, whereas at 140 he was a little weakened, I believe, which would probably account for some of his cowardly performances, or maybe just one.
Cowardly. All right. So let's get down to it. Let's get another opinion here. I see we got Recognize the Matrix on the line.
Don't get fooled when they tell you that the crime rate is down in New York. Every time I watch the local news, they're always talking about, well, there was a stabbing here, there was a stabbing there, there was a shooting there, but the crime is down.
All right, Recognize, are you there?
What's going on, people?
Good to have you on board. Now, I gotta ask you, because I know Saturdays you usually don't see the fights. Did you end up seeing the fight last night?
Yes, I did.
What were give us your assessment of the performance?
It kind of went the way I expected it. I thought that in the first half of the fight, Benavidez gave him some problems. I still think, even though I think Terence Crawford is getting better, you can still catch him. He's still he still has that street mentality when he's boxing. He wants to fight, and he loads up on his swings. I think he loads up on his swings pretty well, but he still leaves himself kind of open, and Benavidez did hit him with some good shots. I got to look back at that fourth round. I guess there was a knockdown, a knockdown that should have been called. But as the fight continued, that's what I thought, where Terence Crawford would take over and eventually stop him. Overall, I thought it was a good win. I still think Errol Spence beats TC.
Now, you mentioned the taking over from Crawford in the fight. He did take over, but it was more because, in my opinion, because he neutralized Benavidez' ability to, or he prevented Benavidez from landing. But I never really saw Crawford being as dominant the way he was against a guy like Thierry Jean or Felix Diaz. He wasn't bouncing off his power shots off of the other guy. Would you agree or disagree with that? All right. Well, I guess Recognize he's probably got something cooking, some sort of a Boricua dish. All right. I wanted to get to something else here because...
Sorry about that. Jesus Christ. I have my...
What, you got some...
I had it muted. I'm talking the whole time.
Recognize, you better step it up, man. You better step it up.
I'm falling off, man.
You're falling off, man.
Can you repeat your question again? I apologize.
Well, no, just to say, because he never really seemed to dominate Benavidez the way he dominated other guys.
No. I think that what we're going to find out from Terence Crawford is when he fights bigger guys, he won't dominate them, although, that was a beautiful knockout. I still think that guys like, especially the bigger guys, the more physical guys like Sean Porter and Errol Spence especially, I think those two, you're going to see him struggle against those opponents. But, man, again, it was still that was a hell of a knockout, man. Benavidez fell face first, man. That was impressive. Shit. That was nice, and I enjoy watching Terence Crawford fight. He's a fighter. He's not perfect, but he's an exciting fighter to watch.
Yeah, man, this
I
is like
think we.
his. Oh, go ahead,
Sorry,
Precise.
bro. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead,
I
go
think
ahead.
we found out last night that Crawford. Well, and I know a lot of people won't be in denial and they'll call me a hater, but I think we found out that Crawford is not a top 5 pound for pound fighter last night because he shouldn't have been losing to a guy like Benavidez. Because look, we're comparing him. I'm going to give you a good analogy here. We're comparing him to someone like Lomachenko, and a lot of people are saying he's better than Lomachenko, right? Lomachenko stepped up in weight to fight the best guy there, and taking the fight, the performance out of the context, which I'll get to in just a second. Lomachenko's performance was exactly the same against Linares as Crawford's against Benavidez. Comparable, right? Some struggles here and there. Both guys get knocked down, and then a knockout, late round knockout, right? Except Linares was the best guy in the weight division, much bigger than Lomachenko, and Lomachenko was fighting essentially with one arm. And yet he still had the same kind of performance as Crawford did against a one-legged bum. Look, I'm exaggerating. Benavidez is a good fighter. He was underestimated, so on and so forth. Let it be that. But nobody was getting excited about Benavidez, and he's nowhere near in the top 10 of the division anyway. So it is what it is.
It's possible Benavidez ends up doing more in boxing, and he might redeem himself. And then you look at Crawford's performance in the future and say, I understand why he struggled. But for the moment, with the record, undefeated record from Benavidez, but he never fought anybody, and that the fact that he was able to give so much trouble, I actually think he was actually putting up a better fight than Postal, simply for the fact that he never got dropped.
Yeah.
And he was catching Crawford with right hands, counter right hand, clean counter right hands. Crawford, to his credit, took him, but that whole shaking his head and all that means he was taking them and feeling them. So
yeah, and look, maybe Benavidez will go on to do some good things, and maybe he'll get knocked out in the first round by Keith Thurman. You don't really know.
Yeah, that's true.
Time will tell. But for the time being, this is the assessment I got because I can only base it on what I've seen. But the thing with Crawford is that he looked amazing at the lower weight divisions, not always because he had all the advantages. Height, reach, generally speaking, right? Weight, he was a big weight bully. He was faster. He was more athletic, blah, 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 blah. But you take away one or two of those advantages, like height and reach, and he begins to struggle. Well, why? Well, that's because he's not a pound-for-pound level fighter. Once he doesn't have all the advantages, he looks average. Average as far as top level, A-level fighters go, he looks average. But when you really break down the way he fights, he's easy to catch in exchanges because he drops his hands, starts swinging sloppily. His feet are too wide. So when he's forced to pivot out of the pocket, he's like tripping all over himself, kind of like Maravilla Martinez would do back in the day. So there are a lot of flaws there that could be exploited. They've just cherry-picked their exact kind of opponent that couldn't exploit those flaws. This is why they avoided Benavidez. This is why they took the calculated risk with Posto, who is taller and rangier, and that's why he ran away from the guy. It's because you took away a couple of advantages that he's enjoyed having, and all of a sudden it's not the same fighter. But I'm sure a lot of people will disagree, but like Roger Mayweather said, most of y'all don't know shit about boxing.
Well, it's hard to argue about the opposition. Really, especially at welterweight. And that's his conundrum. Who the fuck is he going to fight at welterweight? Because he's with Bob Arum. And of course, last night, Terence Crawford gave the usual answer of when they asked him, who do you want next? He says, I'll let my promoter handle it. Why don't you handle it? Why don't you tell Bob, listen, Bob, I want the top guys. Get me Spence.
He did say that.
He did say that? Okay, then I must have watched
that. He said that outside the ring. Outside the ring when he was being interviewed. Look, I'm not gonna knock Crawford if he can't get some of the fights that Heyman controls. Although I would like to see those fights, and I don't think there's any real excuse. I don't buy the argument that Terence Crawford should have signed with Al Heyman or whatever. That's nonsense. If these guys want to fight, they can fight. But to your point, yeah. I can see in this weight class where he doesn't have the advantages that he had in the lower weight class, he's beatable. I think the performance that he put on last night, I'm gonna say I could see a few guys that could have taken advantage of that. One, most importantly, would be excuse me, Terrence, not Terrence, Spence, because of his punching power.
Okay, then let's get down to it. Can Errol, like, okay, if I mention Crawford against Sean Porter, who do you guys have for that one?
Crawford.
Well, I think recognizes talking on the phone.
Against Spence?
Yeah.
Very tough fight. Oh, Porter Spence, you mean?
No.
Porter,
Crawford versus what's his name?
I,
Sean Porter.
I would pick Crawford to out hug and outbox him, but I think it's going to be a very tough fight.
Bucho.
I get confused. Who against who?
Crawford versus Sean Porter.
Oh.
How is that
I'll
confusing?
take Crawford, man. Sean Porter, this guy's an ESPN level fighter.
Oh,
I still use
ESPN.
that ESPN level fighter.
Yeah, you keep. Well, yeah, we're not in the 90s anymore. ESPN is a big deal now. By the way, Trap
ESPN's
Media.
big time now.
Exactly, the main event. Trap Media, I've been sending him invites directly via Hangouts, but he can't. So, Trap, you need to restart your PC or your phone or whichever device you're using, because that's what happened last week with somebody else. They weren't getting the invites. Once they restarted their PC or device, whatever it was, then they could get through. But I think it has something to do with your phone.
He says somebody blocked him. That's what the message he gets.
But you and I are the only one.
Trap Media, I know what's happening with Trap Media. He's hitting the click and it's not letting him through. That doesn't mean you're blocked. That happens to me.
So he's just
you know how
panicking. He's panicking.
Right. Remember how I text you? It's not letting me in. The link is not letting me in. That more like.
Oh, is that when you started threatening me?
Yeah, that's when I told you I was fine. You're in Canada. I'm in New York. I mean, it's not
far, man.
Not that far.
Well, listen,
you know?
I'm trying to invite him and it won't work. So I think he needs, like I said, he needs to restart his device. All right. So,
I was going to say, I
think you cut off again to recognize. I don't know if you muted or.
I would take Spence slightly over Crawford.
Now that's the thing. Let's talk a little psychology here, because I did mention that Terrence Crawford, he tends to lose his shit a little bit. He lost it outside the ring, in a bowling alley or outside a mechanic shop or rim shop, whatever it was. He lost it in the Wayne when he tried to slug Benavidez. He does seem to have a mean streak. They used to say he used to be a bully.
And he fights like one too. He fights like a street fighter.
So what do you think? You think he's got the mentality to take on a guy that can match him, a guy like Thurman, Spence, or do you think he keeps it together, or do you think he loses his composure inside the ring?
If he loses his composure, he loses to those winning. Look, Terrence Crawford got a lot of he's got a lot of tools that he can use to beat these guys, especially the way fights are scored today. Or I shouldn't say today, the way politics score fights, right? So anyway, he has what it takes to beat these dudes. It's just that he can't lose it. The reason why I give Spence the edge over him, Spence is fast enough and it's going to be strong enough that they're gonna exchange, and one of those punches are going to get through. I don't think TC handles it well.
Huh. Because that's the thing. I was interested in the Jeff Horn fight because I knew Jeff Horn was going to jump all over him real quick. And at least for the first couple of rounds, it was going to be interesting to see how he handles that. And Terrence Crawford, I've never seen him fight on the inside, ever. If you get past his range, he just clinches you. And he does a pretty good job of doing that. He did it against Beltran, kept him turning all night. But you have to wonder what happens when he fights a guy like Errol Spence, who fights during the break and hits you low and all that shit. I mean, that's what I want to see what happens. But none of the guys that he's fought so far have been able to do that to him.
Yeah, that's why when these Spence fans over exaggerate about Crawford, what the fuck is going on with that? These I'll be polite. These usual suspects who always root for Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence. What's with the hate for Crawford now? Like they hate. I don't know.
I know it's weird.
It's weird because I thought they would like him more for whatever reason. But then again, when you look at the politics behind it and who he's working with, I understand why. But I would have thought Terrence Crawford is their guy for sure.
Well, Keith Thurman was their boy as well, and then all of a sudden Spence came into the scene, and now, well, he took over, and now they're against Keith Thurman because they prefer Spence Jr.
What's that?
Breaking up, man.
The hierarchy, favorite fighter, number 2, number 3, number 4. So if number 2 is fighting number 1, number 1's still going to be number 1. And I think that's Spence. Crawford might be number 2 if he might be number 1 if he's fighting Sean Porter, But
oh boy, you broke up there at the end. The last 5 seconds.
Yeah, you broke at the end, man.
Yeah, I think I know what he's saying in terms of fandomhood. The list goes Spence over all these guys, and maybe more than likely they would take Terrence Crawford. If Terrence was to fight Sean Porter, they would probably root for Terrence Crawford. Just like Danny Garcia. They like Danny Garcia in certain instances, but when it comes to, certain type of fighters, they don't like him.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's interesting because most people would go for Errol Spence, and like you guys said, they go for Errol Spence over Crawford, basically because of who he's being managed by. And by the way, Cameron Gillon says in the chat room, who cares about Crawford's outside antics or other things outside of his life? Well, the reason why I care is because oftentimes the way a guy conducts himself outside of the ring tells you a little something about how he's going to react inside the ring once the pressure is on. So that's what I'm interested in. He's got a chip on his shoulder for sure. And by the way, he grew up without a father, right?
Yeah, those are.
Well, there you go.
Those are the ticking time bombs. When I say that, listen, man, I speak from experience too. My father was in my life, but don't get me wrong, we had our own issues. But the whole fatherless thing. Those are little ticking time bombs just waiting to explode at any time. They're raised by their women, they're mothers, so they act like their mothers. So you got to understand.
Yeah, he listen. It's not the first time that he's acted. The head shaking and the sticking out the tongue during the fights. Steven Schneider just donated. Shout out to Steven Schneider. He says, the masses are fickle and fans can switch real quick. McGregor is an example. People calling Crawford trash already. Who knows until he fights a killer. I agree. The people are a fickle a bunch. I'm guilty of that myself. We only remember the last thing you did when it comes to sports or whatever accomplishment. We only remember the last fight. And with Crawford, I've seen that. A lot of people are saying in the message boards and all that, like, he got caught against a guy with one leg. And by the way, can we really say with certainty that the leg had something to do with it? Because I don't know. What did you guys see? Did you see him dragging that leg, the Benavidez?
Not in the first 6 rounds, it looked okay, but as the fight wore on and he was more tired, I believe I did see that. But he's always kind of been a stiff-legged type of guy. But I mean, come on, man, you get shot in your leg, you're never gonna be the same, man. It's just how it is. I broke an ankle. It was a nasty fracture, and it's not a huge difference, but it's never been the same since.
All right, so there you go. I mean, if it's, I guess it depends on the type of fracture too. Needless to say, he was shot and he did put up a good fight. So it makes you wonder. But then again, you could also say the same thing about Errol Spence, because the best fighter he's fought so far was Kell Brook. And I know, Bucho, you did a video about Kell Brook, try to play devil's advocate, saying, well, what if we nitpick Kell Brook's resume? What do we come up with? The point is, what happened in the ring was Kell Brook was doing a very good job of controlling Errol Spence for the first couple of, I would say, 7-8 rounds, and he was landing the right hand. And you got to wonder what happens when he steps in there with Crawford, who is more mobile than Kell Brook. He can punch with both hands as opposed to just one. With Kell Brook, he only really has that big right hand. What do you think, Bucho? I mean, Errol Spence, Terence Crawford.
Well, Terence Crawford's gonna be moving for sure. He's gonna try to fight him as like he fought Paul Stoll. He's gonna make it boring, man. He's gonna be running away the whole time. But I don't
Yep.
know. His hands are low as fuck, man. I don't know. Lately, I mean, when he throws his combinations, they look fast, but
He's really sloppy, right?
he's sloppy. He's gonna get counter at some point, and I can see like a Spence just fucking landing a big shot, man.
Benavidez was catching him coming in with when Crawford gets aggressive, he's wide open, and Benavidez was taking advantage. And he was catching him in exchanges. It's just that Benavidez can't crack. He doesn't have any punching power. Unless you stand right in front of him and let him just unload left hooks to the body. He doesn't hit very hard at all. So,
That's
it
what
is
I
what
was.
it is.
That's what I was thinking when I saw him getting caught with those punches in the exchange. I said, man, if that was Errol Spence, he'd be in trouble.
And Spence is a southpaw. And no, don't get me wrong. Like, there are questions about Spence too, which is why this fight needs to happen. So Spence ain't perfect. He's got his flaws too that Crawford could exploit. But Spence fought the better level of opposition under more difficult circumstances. I think we can maybe agree on that. And he's come through. He's had that fight where he had to come through. You know what I mean? Where he faced adversity, he was getting cracked. And he had to win a tough one, a legit fight. Terence Crawford has yet to fight like a legit fight where he's really challenged and where he really steps up to the challenge. The one time that he had that opportunity against Posto, he didn't do it. So, and Spence is going to force that kind of a fight out of him. You know what I mean? And he's a southpaw too. So and I think it's safe to say that Terence Crawford is a southpaw who sometimes he just uses the right-handed stance to confuse people a little bit. But I think it's pretty safe to say he's a southpaw, and he's been fighting as a southpaw consistently. Now, is he going to do that against Spence, or is he going to turn back orthodox? That's going to complicate things for him more than Spence, I believe.
Yeah, I disagree with that for a second. I think it's the other way around with Terence Crawford. I think he's a guy who practiced how to fight lefty. He practiced how to fight. Like, he's not a true Abztract, someone who's
No. I wasn't saying that he doesn't eat with his right with his right hand. I'm just saying, as a fighter, like what you're saying,
okay, right.
He prefers to be a southpaw in the ring. What he is in his real life, I mean, you could be right. He's probably right-handed, but he chooses to be a southpaw in the ring. That's all I mean.
In the ring, yeah. I think that he likes that, and maybe it was something that was taught to him. He probably started off orthodox, but I think it's something it's a practice. Look, I like to if I spar, I'm a righty naturally. I like to fight southpaw. I enjoy the southpaw stance. There's significant advantages just on the stance alone. But I'm not my naturally strong hand would be my right, like most humans in this world, right? We're most of us are righties. But yeah, I think that Crawford, I think it would serve Crawford better, honestly, to fight a guy like Errol Spence, righty, his natural position, because when you fight the southpaw stance, there is a glitch, if that makes sense. In other words, it's like your foot gets caught on sand because that's not your natural position. I think it would serve him better to fight righty if he was to fight Spence. Don't fuck around. In other words, is what I'm trying to say. Don't fuck around. Fight him in the righty position, in the orthodox position, and just don't get careless. He can win the fight. He gets careless with a big puncher like that, he's gonna get knocked out.
But this is exactly what I'm saying. Like, Terence Crawford is all about advantages. So the reason why he fights southpaw, even though he might actually be better as a right-hander against all these right-handed guys, is because that's just another advantage that he could utilize. Now, if he's in the ring against a southpaw like Spence, and he turns orthodox, he no longer has that advantage. And it's basically, and then their lead hands are going to start clashing, and it's going to be all about who could establish the lead hand. So, and it's going to get interesting. But I just think that another advantage that he uses against orthodox guys is not going to be there anymore.
And especially a big guy like Spence, right? Like you were saying, these advantages are not there, and not in this weight class. Although he looks big as fuck, I will give him. I will say that he looks like
Terrence is a natural welterweight, bro. He's a natural. He always was. That's what his coach said. He was always a welterweight. Yeah.
Well, I don't know what his fight night weigh-in was, but he looked $160 at least. I'm gonna say at least $160.
They always
he probably
people say
walks
that
around at 175.
That's what he said, right?
There's maybe it was you. I don't know. Maybe it was you, Precise. Somebody made a video talking about that, and there's a picture floating around of him saying, I weigh 175 pounds, some shit like that. 175 pounds? He could fight that. He could fight at middleweight.
No.
No, well, listen, it wouldn't. What I mean is cutting the weight. Like, with that shape, I saw a picture of him at 175 where he was ripped, totally ripped. And I said to myself, then he can drop down 15 pounds and fight at middleweight and still be totally ripped. The only problem will be is the size advantage. But yeah, the weight at 175 with muscles told me that he can probably fight at 160.
Yeah, that picture does exist. I think it was a little bit of a hoax, a little bit of mind games. When I say walks around 175, that means he's got a little bit of fat. He's got a lot of water. You know, he's not in training, basically. Like Golovkin walks around at 195. You know what I mean? That's what I mean, walk around weight. But in the ring, I think I have to agree with you. Spence will maybe have like a 5-pound advantage of him, if that. You know what I mean? It's not a big size difference there.
Now, this is the second or third time I've heard that video come up here on this show. I've never seen the video. Where's the video? Sounds like
it was an Instagram post.
Sounds like an urban legend to me. I want to see the video. Produce the video. I showed the video.
He should have called out Spence, man. I mean, like on TV, live, said, I want to Spence. He should have done it. Like saying he wants to fight Spence to the Fight Hub later on. That doesn't mean anything, man.
But
that's just for the hardcore fan.
He had Bob Arum next to him in the ring. And, you know, Bob Arum has that presence there where you'll say what he tells you to say or what he's trying to tell you to say through his eyes. You know, I have my doubts of those fights happening. Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, we all have our doubts, but yeah, maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the dynamic there is, but if that's the case, then, you know, they protected him from a whole bunch of different fighters. I think we have to accept that, like Pacquiao, for example, because he never called Pacquiao out either. And when Pacquiao said, whatever, I don't want to go that route. Forget I said anything about that fight.
Right. Well, it's Terrence Crawford is in a...
I won't forget it. Bob Arum didn't want Terrence Crawford to fight Pacquiao at that time, is what he's trying to say, and that is on record.
He's in the corner.
Bob Arum.
Terrence Crawford is in a bad corner. He can't. There's nobody for him to fight in the top rank stable, so they need to work something out with Al Heyman. Heyman and Bob Arum.
This is the BS of. This is why I don't look. You could be whatever kind of fan you want to be, but this is where I don't understand boxing fans like that take the Heyman, the Arum, whatever side. My thing is, if you believe what you read, Terrence Crawford is fine where he's at. He got $3.5 million, something like that, maybe a little over that, to fight Benavidez. So he doesn't have any complaints. Whatever you're paying Spence, Spence is probably happy with it, right? Or he has to pretend he's happy with it. I don't care, whatever the case may be. Make the fucking fight, right? Just make the fight. Errol Spence has said that he's managed by no one. He controls his boxing career, so all he has to do is tell Al Heyman, make that fight happen. I want Terrence Crawford in that ring. Terrence Crawford, all he has to do is tell Bob Arum, look, I don't care about your beef between you and Heyman. Let's make this fight happen. If not,
it's interesting.
It's just BS to promote this fight.
Who promotes Errol Spence officially? When who sets up the whole, like, who's the promoter who puts up all the the arrangements for the actual fight? I mean, we know Al Heyman calls the shots, but is it Lou DiBella who's with
It's Lou
Errol Spence?
DiBella. I believe it's Lou DiBella, but
Huh.
I've heard Errol Spence say that he's a free agent. He works for no one.
Well, you'll also be interested to know that Terence Crawford, when he did the interview with Top Rank, not with ESPN, he did one interview with the Osuna, or whatever his name is, the guy from ESPN, and then he did an interview with that broad from Top Rank, and he said that Bob Arum was next to him, and he said, no more slacking around for Terence Crawford. He's going to be fighting 3 times next year. So he's not, of course, Bob Arum is the guy who said, yesterday I was lying, today I'm telling the truth. So take what he says with a grain of salt. But supposedly, from what he said last night, he plans to get Terence Crawford 3 fights next year. Now, of course,
2019.
Get
Was
ready
that?
for some light welterweights to come up and win.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, that's good. That's gonna include maybe at least one light welterweight. At least
Shit.
one.
you know who they're probably gonna pair him up with next year, if indeed he fights 3 times. That means there's gonna be like 3 gimme fights in that one. They're probably gonna put him in like Kavaliauskas. He's with Top Rank, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking about the guy from
Lithuania.
or
Yeah.
yeah. I like him,
He's-
but
see, that's another guy who's undefeated, who looks good, but he doesn't have the seasoning required to take on a guy like Terence Crawford. So if they put him in there against Crawford, I'm gonna watch the fight, but I'm not gonna look forward to it. You know what I mean? I mean, I gotta quote Split D, aka Scott Jarvis. I saw one of his tweets on Twitter, and he said Terence Crawford is the type of elite fighter that we want to see him take on other elite fighters. No more pussyfooting around and fighting guys that on paper we know he can beat. Because there's no way we can get excited. You know, if he fights a guy like Kavaliauskas or Yordenis Ugas or Jeff Horn again, like Binder done that. He needs to fight a top 3 welterweight, and if he can't find it, maybe he should move up. Is that too much to ask of him?
154?
Yeah,
That's
well,
way too much for him.
That's way
Not
too
good
much
enough.
for him. He's not that good. He'll get destroyed up there. I mean, think about those big 154 pounders. I wouldn't say destroyed, but let's look. He's gonna lose.
He can't beat any of the top 3
Yeah.
154 pounders.
Can you see him in there with Hurd?
no,
Fuck's he gonna
no.
fight with Hurd?
So wait a minute.
Hurd
So
would-
let me ask you this then. Let me ask you guys this: who does better 154, him or Errol Spence?
Errol.
Maybe Errol Spence. Yeah.
Really?
Even though I would take those guys to beat Errol Spence too.
That's interesting because
I give Errol Spence a better chance than Crawford, but I would take the top 3 guys at 154 to beat Errol Spence right now if he was to go up.
154 is just weight bully land, man. It's like this weird division. I think it had to do with Golovkin keeping all these middleweights down there,
Of course
for
it
a while.
did. Of
Yeah.
course it did, man.
And then they, eventually they moved up. Now that he's old, or out of the picture, basically.
yeah, but it's interesting. First of all, I want to get back to what you guys said about Errol Spence doing better. My take on that is that Errol Spence is a come forward fighter. So if he starts fighting a junior middleweight and he can't bully those guys the way he did at 147, it seems to me he loses his advantage, whereas Crawford can at least use his mobility and his speed to outbox some of those guys. But definitely Jared
Their
Hurd.
arms are too long, bro. Their reach is gonna be too much for him.
Yeah, maybe.
Height,
Especially after what
reach,
we
I
saw.
don't think he could.
Even
Well,
Charlo was listed at 5'11". That's 3 inches taller than Terence Crawford. That's about four inches in reach, and then you're talking about a guy who rehydrates naturally and easy to somewhere around 170 at least, probably, and it's fast enough to catch. I'm not saying he'll catch him a lot, but he'll be able to catch him where, as the fight goes along, Terence Crawford is going to feel like he's giving up too much weight. And if you
Jaime
when you-
Munguia will probably beat him up,
Yeah.
man. That dude is 6 feet tall.
Yeah, that guy
Munguia
is.
like as big as Hurd in terms of height, at least.
Munguia looks like he lives in a cave. I mean, he's just a weird looking guy and big as well. So definitely keep Terence Crawford away from either Hurd
He
or
looks
Munguia.
like Fernando Vargas for some reason to me.
Yeah, but with his head shaped like an oval shaped type
Right,
head.
yeah.
It's like he was when he was a baby. It's like they took two wooden planks and every day they would just crush his skull a little bit to make it in that shape. I don't know. That's just me. But
Crawford might beat Lara. I'll give you that one. Maybe he'll beat Lara because Lara's old now, and maybe he'll beat him. But other than
they
that,
actually
I don't know.
they actually fight very much alike if you think about it.
Yeah, give it to me.
Jesus, that's not. I don't want to see. You guys are right. Crawford, I think he's too small for junior middleweight. But it was an interesting question because I always kept saying about Errol Spence. I was following ElDude's logic about Errol Spence, which is that if he walks through everybody at welterweight, then what the fuck's he doing there? Maybe he should just move up already, especially since he's not gonna get either Crawford or Pacquiao. So maybe Crawford should have done the same thing. But yeah, I think it's a bit of a bad idea right there. Another thing I wanted to talk about. So we got that with Terence Crawford. We covered the psychology aspect, the psychological aspect. You guys think? Just remind me. Recognize you said you think he holds his own psychologically. You don't think he's gonna break once he fights a guy that pushes him. All right. I think Recognize is cooking again.
No. Shit, I'm just having a bad week. What was the question again? I apologize.
You apologize. Are you
It's like a
apology man?
defense,
Man.
Are you apology man?
Apology,
No,
man.
you should apologize to yourself, man, because we give you the top tier position, and this is how you treat it.
Let me finish. Just let me finish. I apologize.
All right, now listen. All right, so my question was just essentially that because Terence Crawford does seem like he's got a chip on his shoulder. So you think he makes it out all right in the ring? You don't think he's ever going to break?
Terence Crawford.
Yeah.
Yes. I think he eventually, yes, he's going to break.
All right.
I don't think he's. Yeah, if he keeps fighting the right opponents, yeah. I mean, what I mean by the right opponents, fighters that have a chance to beat him, that have the skill set, even if he might be a little bit better. You keep fighting, yeah, he's gonna lose one. He's gonna lose. He could very easily lose to guys like Sean Porter, Keith Thurman. Well, I don't know about Keith Thurman because of his health issues. Danny Garcia, I can see that happening. Errol Spence, I can see him losing those fights if he loses his shit and he's like, fuck that, let's fight. Come on, let's thug it out. See what happens. You can hit him. You can see that. You can see Benavidez was actually hitting him. What Precise said is just that he doesn't have that concussive power to make him pay for that.
Mm-hmm. That's true. That's absolutely true. And it brings up a good point also about why he shouldn't be fighting at 154, because essentially if he fought a guy that's shaped like a 154-pounder last night and he had a lot of trouble. Precise, what do you think about Terence Crawford psychologically? Again, a guy with a chip on his shoulder, and would you be surprised if he ever just blows up inside the ring and caves?
Does something stupid, you mean?
Yeah, essentially.
No, I just can't see it. He's such a scaredy fighter in the first 6 rounds. Like, he really takes his time. He's really patient. He's really insecure in the beginning of just about every fight. And then once he gets cracked a few times and he realizes that the other guy can't hurt him because it was cherry-picked not to be able to hurt him, then like his balls grow and, the other guy is tiring. Terence still got his stamina. His balls grow and he goes to war. So I just don't. Once somebody cracks him good, like Posto was able to crack him, a guy with the underrated power, he's just gonna run all night. I don't think he's got it in him. I just think he's just a beta male who's been basically taking advantage of cherry picked and B-level opposition.
Mm-hmm.
But hey.
A beta male who's been feasting on B-level opposition.
I'm trying to be colorful. I'm just trying to trigger people.
Well, I'm just saying. Hopefully, that's not what's gonna read on his tombstone when he dies. But listen, he has to step it up, absolutely. And I think we can all agree, because Ring Magazine, I'm just looking at the rankings here. They have him rated number 2, pound for pound. I definitely think he's skilled. I've said it before. He's skilled. He's talented. But so far, and especially in the future, it's a little worrying that he's not he doesn't have anybody to dance with at Top Rank. So he's gonna have to step it up. Like you guys said, put pressure on Bob Arum and say, listen, we can't make a lot of bucks, just a lot of money just fighting these guys we got right now. We got to go for some of the top guys. Another thing is, in terms of skills, like I said, Crawford is pretty good, but we'll have to see what happens with him. I've just lost my train of thought there. But Butch, are you still there? I see you're going head to head with people in the chat room about the PBC.
Yeah,
Would you
yeah. By the way,
yeah,
this guy, Al Boxing, he said, we're debating about the PBC shit, right? And he's like, you're contradicting yourself. You said Al failed to monopolize the boxing. Okay. But now you're saying he got the best fighters. Yeah, you can have the best stable without having to monopolize the sport. I mean, I don't know. That doesn't make fucking sense.
Yeah,
So,
listen, this guy, he just doesn't see reality. He's got some of the top fighters, but he's not making the top fights. That's the problem.
He hasn't monopolized the sport because that's impossible. Hence, because this guy's saying, well, I mean, Al Heyman's so smart, that's why he thought about monopolizing it. But it was almost impossible to monopolize the sport. So that was a stupid move from Al Heyman to begin with. And yes, he has the best stable, but he hasn't monopolized the sport. All right? That's pretty much it.
They're two different things. They're not one and the same.
No.
Yeah, all boxing.
I mean,
all boxing.
Sense,
all boxing, you need to step it up, man. See, there he goes. He goes right back to talking about Triple G and Lomachenko. All boxing, you need to step it up, man, because I've been seeing you this past...
not Lomachenko. Lomachenko. That's how he says it.
BDA, you missed the last show. There was a lot of shit that was going on. Okay, in the last show, we had Trap saying that Luis Ortiz defeats Mike Tyson, a prime Mike Tyson. Recognize offense to that.
It just sounded crazy. That's all. I didn't take offense to it. Just like I don't know how.
Cameron got super pissed off at Trap because Trap said that Spence Jr. and Crawford are ahead of Lomachenko in the pound for pound rankings. Then we had a debate about the pound for pound rankings. Oh yeah, and then there was a debate about Golovkin defeating Marvin Hagler. And then we had Trap vegan propaganda that was spread.
Oh God!
Hey,
but
hold on
to the guy in the chat room, I'll give him that. Al Heyman monopolized the welterweight division. How about that? Compromise. Go ahead, BDA. My bad.
No, that's a good point. You got to make people happy. You got to give them a little rope, and that's the thing with
to hang themselves with.
Well, I wouldn't say hang themselves, but Steven Schneider just donated again. Shout out to Steven Schneider. He says BDA is too good for us now. I'm not too good for anybody. Let's just put it that way. It's just I've been busy. But yeah, I did read or hear rather that show, a little bit of it. First of all, I want to go back to something because I'm losing my train of thought here all the time. But just real back quickly, just go back to Crawford. We were talking about him, and he's Precise mentioned that he starts slow. Crawford, that is, and that might have something to do with his tentativeness. Might have something to do with that chip off his shoulder. On his shoulder, the guy. That's how he's. And interestingly enough, last night they mentioned during the telecast that Bradley had brought it up to Terence Crawford. He actually told him, "Hey, you usually start slow." And apparently Terence Crawford, I don't know if he got upset or how upset he got, but they alluded to the fact that he disagreed with Timothy Bradley about that. So maybe he hit a spot there. And Precise, maybe you are right. Maybe the slow start is not about him being economical. Maybe it's about him not wanting to take any risks in the first couple of rounds.
You know what I think it is? Because Terence was so drained at 135 and he wasn't 100% at 140. His chin wasn't all there. So I don't think he still entirely trusts his chin. You know what I mean? So once he gets cracked and he realizes that, okay, I could take this guy's shots because this is my weight division, like I'm strong in this weight division, then his balls grow, basically.
You got to stop saying that. Fucking balls. By the way, all right, let's move on to what Bucha said. I did hear Jimmy talking about Marvin Hagler versus Triple G a little bit. And actually, he was just talking about Marvin Hagler. Okay, Luis Ortiz better than Mike Tyson or beating Mike Tyson. I think we can all agree that sometimes styles make fights. But I don't know if Trap Media, what exactly what did he say and how Did he break down how Ortiz beats Tyson, or did he just say, well, he's too big and he beats Tyson?
No. He just said he would beat him. That was it.
Look, if Dave Allen is rocking you with his right hand, what's Mike Tyson gonna do to you? Come on.
Exactly.
No way.
He just basically said that, because Mike Tyson's lost a few fights in his life, that basically means Ortiz beats him, and Ortiz really beat nobody, and he had a fight. He had a chance to fight a pretty notable bum and lost.
Mm-hmm.
So, what would he do against? What would he do against Mike Tyson? I think he gets beat, but that'll never happen. It's just this trying to hype up Wilder, that Wilder's better than Mike Tyson. That's all that is.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's what Jimmy said. Now that I remember, Jimmy said something to the point of Trap likes to trap people. No pun intended. He likes to troll a little bit, and I do agree with that. I think he likes to be a bit of a hipster, a bit of a boxing hipster. Say things that are gonna get a rise out of people. Because listen, I mean, Tyson might or might not get caught coming in with an uppercut or something big from Ortiz, who is a natural counterpuncher. But that was young Tyson trained to fight taller guys. He trained to come in, cut the distance real quick, move his head with that peekaboo style, and avoid uppercuts, big hooks, whatever. So I and it's a fantasy fight. Who the fuck can tell who would win that fight?
No,
But
man.
suffice to say,
Counter punches take a while to warm up, measure you. They need time. Tyson would have never given him that opportunity. He would have just run him over like he did just about everybody else. Ortiz doesn't stick and move, right? He doesn't stand off and peck you with the jab, which would have given Tyson problems. He wants to counter. No, Tyson would not have given him the time to establish his counter.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Tyson's too fast, especially for a 50-year-old Ortiz. Maybe if it was a younger Ortiz, but this 50-year-old version, I mean, it's. I don't think it happens, man. I don't see it happening. I do say old George Foreman would have given the mid-90s Tyson a very good fight. I don't know why. I just think the styles would have matched up, and I think that the Foreman's strength and the ability to hold the pace in those rounds, I think he gives Tyson a pretty good fight. But Tyson, man, geez, I mean, this guy, it was so explosive, too explosive for anybody. And I do think that he beats Muhammad Ali. I think Ali would just clinch his way. I think he would make it 12 rounds, but I think it would just be a clinch fest, because that's what happened when Tyson fought other guys. He would cut the distance, and they would just clinch him, and they would not let go until the refs yelled break.
I get the feeling a lot of these Wilder fans, they're extremely young. They're living in the moment, and they just feel that they look at Mike Tyson's the end of his record. They're caught up in the zero. Remember, Wilder's career is not finished yet. I have a feeling that by the time Wilder is done boxing, these guys are not going to feel the same way about Wilder. They won't want to be reminded that they used to be on his sacks all the time. And
You're cutting off the recognize.
Changing our minds. Once upon a time, I was a huge Roy Jones fan. You couldn't tell me anything. I would argue with you to the end, But as I started getting older and I started realizing that this is kind of bullshit. He's not going to fight that kid from Germany. He's making up too many excuses. I'm starting to see it, and not only that, you're just getting older too at the same time. So
show me a boxing fan with 100% prediction record, and I will listen to everything they got to say. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It will never happen, but they'll claim that I'm 100% when it comes to making boxing predictions.
Picking mismatches?
Yeah, right. I mean, anybody could pick a mismatch.
By the way, I see Trap Media still complaining in the chat room. Trap, did you restart your devices like I told you? Restart your devices and try to log back in, man, because he thinks he's blocked. Look,
he's
at him.
B12.
Anyway.
He's vitamin B12 deficient. He's got neurological problems, probably because he's not eating any meat. So.
Well, that's what I thought he was doing. I thought he was doing carb backloading. Didn't he say he was doing ketosis? What the fuck? You're supposed to eat meat, or at least fat from animals. I don't know what the hell he's doing. being a vegetarian.
Looking for an identity. That's what he's doing.
Well, listen, Trap, when you get your shit together, just hit me up on Hangouts and I'll send you the invite again. All right, listen, let's get to something current here because I think we just said everything we had to say about Terence Crawford. One of the, believe it or not, the big news going around is that Wilder, what happened?
What's going on, man?
I'm sorry, man. Don't bring up that Wilder thing, man.
Yeah, I gotta do it, man. But hold on. Here's the thing. Here's why I'm gonna bring it up. You guys heard, right? That Wilder punched he was on Spanish TV or Mexican TV, I forget which channel.
Oh, I saw that one, yeah.
Yeah, he punched a guy in a suit, and now he's saying he didn't know the guy was in the suit. I mean, you could tell it was a guy in the suit. I don't know
Are
what
you
the fuck's...
kidding me? He said that?
Well, hold on. Let me see what happened here. I'm looking at Boxing Scene. Let me put the article up, and I'll tell you why. I'm bringing this.
Can I tell you? I made a video about it. So, okay, you got it up on the screen. I can see.
No. Go ahead. Break it down.
All right, so he's on one of these ESPN Deportes channel, Spanish. So anyway, I don't know. The clip kind of like it shows you when he's about to punch him. So I don't know what happened before that. I'm guessing that they thought they said, look, demonstrate what you would do to your opponent when you knock him out. And so the mascot gets in front of him and starts like, like moving around, and Wilder winds up and punches the mascot. And you got to see the reaction of the host. He grabs his head like, Wilder, no, God damn it. Like, then he had to play it off. Like, he knocked him out. He's playing. Apparently, the dude has a broken jaw. I don't know how true that is, but you got to look at the way Wilder wound up that punch.
It was a real punch.
And landed it. It's fucking hilarious. It's like, it's the greatest to me.
And apparently the network is denying that the guy's got the broken jaw. But the reason why I brought this up, and again, I haven't seen the other video that I'm about to bring up, which is that the face-off between Wilder and Tyson Fury. A little context here. When Tyson Fury, before he fought Vladimir Klitschko, Tyson Fury said that Vladimir Klitschko was a Satan worshiper. Now, if you know, Klitschko was married to a Hollywood or ex-Hollywood actress. And also, I think some of the people he hangs out with in Germany and all that might be some actors and stuff like that. And so Tyson Fury said that. He's a very religious man. Now, Deontay Wilder in the face-off was talking about inner spirits and multiple personalities. My question to you guys is, and then he punches this guy in the face. He threatens Brazil's wife or himself in front of his wife. He says he wants a body. He says he wants to kill somebody. He says he wants to. What else did he say about?
How did he not know there was somebody inside the suit? I don't understand.
Well, hold on, Bucho. What I'm trying to say is, is it safe to say? He's talking about split personalities.
It looked just like Chris Arreola, man. How could he not know? It was a fucking burrito.
Is it safe to say that Deontay Wilder is not right in the head?
I think it's safe to say that he's not the smartest guy in the world.
Yeah, he's just a dummy, man. I mean, he was saying a lot more than that in the face-off. He was talking about being inside of Fury, or maybe the other way around. I mean, it was just charged with all kinds of like homosexual energy. I think he's an Illuminati whore, man, if I'm being honest here. And so is Tyson Fury, starting to look like it to me.
Really? No, but okay,
MK Ultra, because he's so fucked up in the head, man.
I don't think you gotta go as far as make it MK Ultra with Deontay Wilder, man. He's just prime for that type of shit, man. He'll do it just cause. I don't think you gotta brainwash him, really. He's just that's just who he is, man.
He was already there.
You guys didn't think it was gay as hell, that whole face off with the way he was licking his lips and how he was talking to him. He didn't say how much he loves him. I love this man. Like, I want to be inside of some stupid shit like that.
What the fuck?
Fucking innuendo.
You guys didn't catch that? Maybe
No,
I
I
just
didn't
had a
see
hard
it all.
time understanding.
I didn't really see
Alabama
it, man.
accent.
I didn't see it. I don't want to see that shit.
But that's
it
a
was very, very homoerotic.
all right. So I'm definitely not gonna watch it. But that's the thing that Serena Williams is another one that, or not. Which one's the good one? The good Williams
Serena.
brother,
Yeah,
Serena,
that's Serena Williams.
the
The
Serena
one that
brothers.
has
The
muscles like a man.
serene one.
The
Serene one.
Well, she
Severino.
talked about how she has split personalities too, and she says like there's one split personality that's more docile. There's another one that she called him Laquanda or something like that, like some ghetto name, and she's the one that stands up for herself or something. So that's what it was interesting that she has that whole split personality thing going, which might or might not be true. I mean, she might be faking it, for attention. But then Wilder comes up with the same shit. I mean, I'm just wondering.
Broner was also saying something like that, where there's like two sides to him. You might be onto something with the MK Ultra, Bucho.
Yep.
Maybe, man.
They do it. A lot of celebrities go through that thing.
Yeah, I believe so. I believe
They
a
probably
lot of
don't go
these.
like Sirhan old shit style to
Look
go.
at-
You know what I mean? But
Look at Nicki Minaj. You telling me that this girl's not like officially like brain dead and like it's just something?
that bitch goes on fucking Snapchat or Instagram, and then she
Did you ever hear her laugh?
She's crying. No, she's crying. She's like, "Oh, I saw a ghost." She's like, at 3 o'clock in the morning, she's crying and talking to her fans, saying that she saw shit, and like she's all
What
fucked up
the
in the head,
fuck?
man. Like that's all MK Ultra coming out, man.
Yeah, that's these people are, they're fucked up in the head, and maybe Wilder's one of them. Maybe he's
But
one
now
of those
why?
guys
That begs the question: why would they do that to a guy like Wilder? Like, is he a
Well,
homothug? Maybe
they
that's what they want.
identify
Or?
who's gonna be like popular figures, and he's a heavyweight champion. It could be a heavyweight champion. He's very charismatic in a way, attracts a lot of attention. So he's a prime target for these fuckers. I
Huh.
don't know. Yeah, maybe.
So they could destroy him when they're done with him, right? And they want all that money back. They could just destroy him. You know what I mean? They'll have so much dirt on them and mind control. I mean, I don't know. I'm just speculating. But there is this interview with Adrian Broner. I don't know if you guys ever saw it. I think it was before the Granados fight. I'm not sure. It's with Mark Krieger, if that's his name, the guy from Showtime. Whatever. Anyway, and Adrian Broner is wearing this jacket and like he has a butterfly on there. I'm sure you
Huh.
understand the symbolism, but it's like
Yeah, yeah,
really
yeah.
effeminate looking jacket and it got the butterfly on there. And he's talking about how he went into, like, he recounts this whole story of being in prison and he just says, oh, that's something like the things they did to me in there. It changed me, man. It changed me. It's really, really interesting
What?
interview if you're into that MK Ultra conspiracy stuff.
I mean, I have a hard time wrapping my head around the motive, but there's just too much. There's too much evidence that something weird's going on for me to dismiss this.
either
it's,
they wanna play to it like it's they want to play into that they're possessed by the Illuminati or they're being controlled by them, or it is true and they're trying to like get people used to that, like or not
Maybe
even
they're
that.
just like diddling them, you know what I mean?
yeah.
Right.
Because people think, all right, listen, somebody wants to fuck Nicki Minaj or whoever other, and people will say, well, what about Deontay Wilder? But listen, the people that like, there's all sorts of people out there. Maybe guy likes to fuck Deontay Wilder or the other way around. Maybe they want Deontay Wilder to fuck them. I don't know, but definitely it was weird. It was weird hearing Wilder say that about the split personalities, especially when you consider all the things he's done outside of the ring and all the things he said. And that's just what we see and hear. Who the hell knows what he's doing behind closed doors? So I was just asking if any of you saw that face-off, and I didn't see the whole face-off, so I didn't get to what Precise was talking about Fury, him wanting Fury inside of him or whatever. But by the way, Precise,
Even
you
his
did
fans are even. I mean, even a lot of his fans are borderline homosexuals. I mean,
yeah, that's
let's
true.
be honest,
Yeah,
man.
definitely.
I get amazed how stupid these fans are, or people who are just fans of sports and or just famous people, and they don't listen to the words that they say. And words have meaning. If you say it enough time, it actually becomes like I would never talk about I would never refer to another fighter as raping. Let's say if I think Spence will beat Crawford, I would never say Spence will rape Crawford. I'm not saying that that's being done now, but there was when I first started watching boxing videos on YouTube, there was a lot of that homosexual talk in there.
Right.
Oh, this guy will rape that guy. I'm like, why is that the first thing that comes to your head when you're talking about boxing? Why is rape?
Well, you mentioned that before also in another episode. And do you think it has? Are we reading too much into it, or do you think that some of these people maybe because they come from certain backgrounds?
They were raped. They were raped.
Jeez, Luis. All right, listen.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask.
You could be raped many different ways. You could be raped, obviously in the sexual act. You could be raped like your parent or somebody in that household always beat the shit out of them. Like that kind of rape.
Right. Now, Precise, you said Tyson Fury. You think he's been a little brainwashed himself. What did he say in the face of, or what has he said that makes you think that he's going a little overboard himself?
It's not really what he's saying. It's just the fact that like he's kissing dudes now in the ring and stuff, or during face-offs or something. He's acting a little, and he stopped all that anti-establishment talk, which could just be considered smart. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But he just seems to be playing ball, and like he's being served up to Wilder now, which doesn't make any sense at a time that's not very convenient for him necessarily. It just seems all too convenient. And he did kiss a dude, and for someone who was so anti-gay supposedly and such a traditional man, like to just do that all of a sudden, to me that's a complete 360 or 180 rather.
Think about how aggressive he was when he first started. Do you guys remember like Chisora, the big mouth, the guy who just has a big mouth? Remember in the press conference, like the way Fury was then compared to now? Chisora was scared. He was genuinely scared when he got up and he smacked him in the face. Chisora is a thug. So for him to see like a man come up to him and smack him, and him like his corner, actually his corner man was more angrier than he was, right? My point to bring that up is to Precise's point, from him to being that kind of man, right, where you can see he used to make he used to talk against the homosexual agenda all the time. Mm-hmm. And from now, like Precise was saying, he kissing a man and this weird, bro love that he's on
medications, man.
It could be that too. It's probably that too. So it's a big turnaround. It is a big turnaround.
Who's interesting is Mel Gibson, because he.
Oh yeah.
The whole thing started in 2006, right? It's going to be 12 years now since that happened, where he was pulled over and supposedly he made some anti-Semitic comments that nobody's got any proof of. All we have is a testimony from the police officers. And of course, police officers, we got to believe everything they say. It's not like they ever lie. So that's the story we went with. But of course, if you read some of Gibson's prior comments in the 90s, he was speaking out against the homosexual movement. And he was really saying stuff like, you're not supposed to fuck each other up the ass and blah, blah, blah. Like, he was really going out there and saying it. And then he said, if they want an apology from me, they can fuck off, or something like that. I'm paraphrasing, but he was really direct with the fact that he was not going to bow down to them. And then, of course, he makes The Passion of the Christ, which even before it came out, there was already controversy. Why there was controversy before it even came out, I don't know. I mean, it's almost as if people in the know already knew what it was about, and they did not want his representation of the story on the screen. So anyway, what I'm trying to get with Mel Gibson is he made a comeback. He's still in making movies now. He's about to release another movie now, another World War II movie. So he certainly seemed to be able to maneuver his way through that. But what I'm trying to get at here is with Tyson Fury is he was saying a lot of things that are politically incorrect, and now he's changing his tune. Which so it makes you wonder what exactly then again, you have another guy like Kanye West who just did a stream, what was it, 2 years ago, a live stream, and he was talking about being brainwashed or mass brainwashing. Do you guys think when you get to the top, they sit you down and they give you the briefing? In other words, can't say this, can't say that.
Hey, everything happened after he became a champion, after he beat Klitschko. Huh? Think about it, man.
Huh.
Now he
Yeah,
was gonna become
that is true.
he's gonna become more popular. He's a heavyweight champion. Like
And
man,
then he has a breakdown. And then he had a
then he has a
breakdown.
breakdown. Come on,
Like
they
Kanye
wanted to shut
West.
him up, man. They
But like
reprogrammed
Kanye,
him, and now this is the new fury you have. You know, so
but
happy,
you see where I'm
kissing
going with
people in
this,
the
right?
lips like Precise says, and
But you see where I'm going with this. All right, Bucho. You see where I'm going with this, right? There's a pattern here. Like
Yeah.
with Kanye West. They're at the top. All of a sudden, there's a mental breakdown. They got to go away for a while. You don't hear about them. And then they come back and they're saying all the right things. Except with Kanye West now, which seems to be breaking down, if you know what I mean. Certain programmings seem to be breaking down. And he's talking freely now.
He needs another vacation.
Yeah, exactly. He needs another electric therapy, if you know what I mean. Electroshock therapy. Look, listen. This is just speculation, obviously. We don't know what we're talking about. We're just having a little fun here. Don't take this too seriously.
It's all a joke. We're just joking around.
Exactly. It is the season of Halloween, so that's why we're speaking about this type of shit. But it's interesting that the whole thing about Wilder saying he's got spirits inside of him. If you go on YouTube, you can watch all sorts of videos of sports figures and celebrities talking about having multiple split personalities. And there's the Christians, the extremist Christians, that they say it's all about demon possession. And I wish we had Stu on, because remember that lost episode of Second Renaissance? Stu was telling us that he believes in demon possession. He believes that there's actual spirits, demons, whatever you want to call them, that possess people. And when you see celebrities talking that way, I'm not saying I buy into it, but it does seem a little unsettling when they talk about being possessed. I mean, I don't know what you guys think about that. What are your thoughts on all those videos? Or that whole concept of spirit possession?
Yeah,
I was possessed before. I was
depends.
possessed by spirits.
Bacardi?
All right.
Yeah, that's one. I've been possessed by plenty of spirits, man. Plenty.
That was your defense in court, right? After you fought
hey,
Madison
listen.
Square Garden.
I don't know what was in that joint. You know, I thought it was a cigarette. It's actually a joint.
Show up to court with your pencil shit with shit in everything.
But
Peanut butter.
this is a very important question. Who's gonna be the first male boxer to get a sex change?
Oh,
Because you know it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's gonna
It's
happen.
gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
it's gonna be. If I'll tell you what, I don't know who it's gonna be, obviously, but the age range, it's gonna be a guy that's 15 right now. It's gonna be in about 5-10 years, so that when that fighter is 20 or 25, that's the generation that we're gonna see. I don't think a 35-year-old fighter all of a sudden is gonna decide, hey, you know what, I'm actually abroad.
Overhand says Ryan Garcia, and I agree.
No, that's too obvious, though. That's too obvious.
Yeah.
Adrian
Has to shock you.
Virtuoso says Adriana Broner.
Tank Davis, maybe.
It's gonna be like a big, strong, manly man, probably. You know what I mean?
But why is that? Why is it that they always seem to try to push the straight and manly masculine guy to be the transsexual?
Because they're
They
destroying.
emasculate us. Yeah, they're destroying masculinity. They want to emasculate us. I wouldn't be surprised if it was someone like Kovalev or some crazy shit like that.
You do this in movies as well and with actors. What was that name? The guy who did that HBO Liberace thing. What's the actor?
Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas. He was always like the epitome, like representing like the epitome of manhood and stuff like that. And then he ends up doing like Liberace. Come on, man. They're just fucking with him, man, and fucking with everybody else, man. The guy who played James Bond, the last one, wasn't he dressed as a woman or something?
Oh yeah, for a commercial too. Yeah.
For a commercial? Why? Why him? Out of all people, you take James Bond, right? The guy who gets all the women and stuff. Now
It's
he's
almost
just a woman. Come on.
You know what? I don't know if it's all planned, to change society. Imagine if they're doing it. Just imagine if they're doing it because they can. Just to get a kick out of like, hey, we got this guy who's a big celebrity. Everybody loves him. Meanwhile, we have the power to make him dress like a woman. That's fucking creepy right there, man. Then again, if I was a billionaire, I would make people do all sorts of weird shit too. Why not? I gotta admit that. I'm not gonna lie to you people.
Yeah, but you have them sign a waiver first.
Wait a minute, what? But if I'm the billionaire, and I tell people what to do. You know what I mean? I
Yeah, you
don't
just
have
have
to.
them sign like a little waiver release form so that they can't sue your ass. Basically, that's all. I'm saying.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Now I get what you're saying. Yeah.
You wouldn't have to hide if you had all the money. You wouldn't have to do this from in hiding. You know what I mean?
Well, have I mentioned this on the show before about the Saudi Arabian toilets?
No.
No. Well, it's about the. Again, it's just a rumor, but apparently the Saudi Arabian princes, royals, whatever, they got all this money, right? Too much money to spend in one lifetime. So they can fuck whoever they want. And at some point, apparently, they get bored of it. So what they do is they grab a guy, send him to all sorts of nightclubs in Las Vegas, California. And of course, they give this guy a nice chunk of change. So he's dressed to the gills, he's looking like a fly guy. He's got a nice car and everything. So he goes to the parties and he takes all these 20-year-old girls and all that. And he tells them, hey, listen, he dazzles them with his bling. And then he tells them, listen, here's my card. You want to make some easy money, you come see me. So these girls, 20 years old, 21, they fucking go there. And it's an office and everything. And he tells them, look, I work for some very influential people. They want to party with you. I know you want to party with them. It's 10,000 up front, 10,000 once you do the job. Just do whatever they tell you and you'll get paid. So these girls, they go first class, they go to Saudi Arabia. And apparently what happens is they get shit on. Like literally shit on. Now, I know some of you guys who've been around the game for a while. It's nothing new, scatology and all that. But what happens is the context in which these people do it, because they're not shitting on them just to shit on them. What they do is they have a contest. They get together and they eat onions and beans and all that the day before, and they try to see who can take the most liquid shit on the woman. Now, some of you might be thinking, oh, BDA is making shit up again. Look it up on the internet. It's a rumor, but would any of you really be surprised that this is the type of stuff that's going on with billionaires? Come on. And that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Is John Gonzalez the guy who gets supposed to convince his girls to go to Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, maybe, man. Well, he's the one that said, right, that a girl took a dump on him. I think he's the one that said
Yeah,
that,
he's
right?
the
that was an Illuminati ritual that happened to him.
Yeah, maybe John Gonzalez.
Shit.
All right,
It's all about, degrading.
I'm losing my train of thought. Why did I start talking about the Saudi Arabian toilets?
I don't know, man.
MK Ultra, I think, got us there.
Yeah,
Pay
but then
attention
again,
to what's going on in Saudi Arabia right now. It's
but
very interesting.
You don't have to brainwash somebody to take a shit on them. Like, look at these girls. Apparently, they're doing it for 20 grand, and all expenses paid trip to Saudi Arabia.
Well, when a girl has jack shit and you offer 20 grand, you might be.
Would that traumatize you for the rest of your life? Like when you're
a girl taking a shit on me? Of course.
No. The girl getting shit on, like maybe like in 20 years later, would you go like, oh shit, having a flashback or something? Of
Look, I was talking to I read this article about women, and this should be a no-brainer where this is coming from, or one of the big reasons where this is happening from. This is coming from. A lot of women are getting colon cancer, cancer in the ass. And they're in their 20s. A lot of these girls are in their 20s. There's a lot of cases. This is article I was reading where a lot of cases of girls in their 20s that are showing up with colon cancer or some type of cancer in the ass. Anyway, anal sex is a big thing. And a lot of these girls are having anal sex. And this article that I was reading was trying to like beat around the bush. It's like, no, listen, ask these girls the truth. Ask them, have you been performing, have you been getting fucked in the ass, in other words? And let's see what they answer and report that. I bet you a lot of these girls are doing that. So yeah, they do regret this shit later on in life. when they get older. You know, they're definitely going to regret sleeping
Are you saying
with,
that being shed on gives you cancer?
Well, no. Well, I don't know. Listen, that's got to be the most degrading thing any human being could do, or except being done to them, having some man or woman piss and shit.
Yeah,
on
that's
them.
why you dehumanize the other person.
Yeah, you're just basically dehumanizing them, and that's what our culture.
It's complete control. I mean, you
Yeah,
dehumanize.
that's what they're promoting. That's what the homosexual agenda. I'm not saying it specifically towards that. That's what the homosexual agenda is all about. They're teaching kids, 7-year-old kids, about anal sex. They wanna put that in the as a subject and make
They're
it.
redirecting our, this is my theory, they're redirecting our center of attention from the vagina to the asshole, because
Correct.
partly to make everybody gay and to stop people from reproducing. I mean, I'm sure anal sex has always gone on, but like this, this preoccupation, how popular it seems to be lately, and how you're talking about all these women coming up with anal cancer. It's like, why would you do that when you have, the vagina? Like, this just, like, I can understand the curiosity and wanting to try it, but after a while, it's just like, dude, you're sticking your dick in shit. What's wrong with that?
That is so true, and that was my experience. And I said, you know what? I'm sorry, man. I appreciate my dick. I'm not sticking it in shit.
Well, they always say, no, but it's clean. It's clean. Like, listen.
Yeah, how deep? How do you? I mean, come on.
Have you ever been to a women's bathroom? It's worse than the guy's bathroom. I know, because I've been there. I used to work, cleaning bathrooms, and some of the shit I saw there, man. Let me tell you. And I also went in there dressed as a woman once during my experimental period. But look,
during experimental period.
But the point is also,
I believe you're part. I've always believed that you're part of the Illuminati. That's just.
I'm not. Listen, trust me, I'm not high enough to be in that.
No, when they say they're clean, how do you know there's not like they say, like a bullet in the charger?
Exactly, in the chamber, yeah. But it's interesting.
Charger.
It's interesting because
it's like, I'm not gonna get into experiences.
Recognize says something interesting about the whole anal cancer. It's interesting. Sometimes these media outlets, they don't want to talk about certain things, but if it's health related, they should be telling people, hey, listen, maybe it's not a great idea to be having so much anal sex, because it might. Because I did hear that about apparently a lot of homosexuals have prolapsed. What's it called? Prolapsed. The asshole's prolapsed, essentially, because they're having so much sex. And here's the thing that most people don't think about. It's these goddamn dating applications. Because these people nowadays, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, God bless them, they're done to fuck, but it's just too much. They go on the street and like, oh, I got a notification from my app. Somebody wants to fuck in the bathroom, and they go to fuck in the bathroom, and they're just fucking. That's one thing that has been proven, is that there is now antibacterial or antibiotic resistant gonorrhea and all sorts of venereal diseases out there, because people are just fucking way too much. And I thought in my day people were fucking way too much. Now apparently it's out of control.
There's a porn star by the no, I'm not gonna say her name, but
now go ahead, say it. Full disclosure. Come on.
Okay, so and this is I don't know how true this is, but she's from Brooklyn, originally from, I want to say, the Ukraine, and this particular neighborhood in Brooklyn, I kind of know it well. And apparently the people there said that she grew up there. How true this is, I have no idea. She went by the name of Mila Shigol. Shigol, yeah. And I remember seeing her in a couple of porns, okay? Yes, I watch porn, of course, everybody.
How dare you? How dare you?
So anyway, she was a pretty wild one, kind of disgusting, to be honest with you.
Well, I'll be the judge of that.
Well, no, she's like extremely disgusting. She like does crazy shit. Anyway, apparently she has to wear diapers. And this is a woman that's maybe a couple of years older than me, or my age. in her mid to late 40s.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
can I
virtual.
hold it
Also,
in, man?
Yeah, she has to wear diapers.
Oh
Now I
my
don't know.
God.
Again, I don't know how true it is, but if you ever watch this woman's videos, it's not that hard to believe.
Yeah, but was she sticking like huge things inside and stuff?
I
Like,
mean, yeah, of
it
course.
has
She,
to,
she was
yeah,
sticking all
okay.
kind. She was sticking everything in there.
Ah.
Dicks, everything. You know.
are you sure you're not talking about Oscar De La Hoya? I'm kidding. I'm
The lie with a
kidding.
diaper.
I'm kidding. Yeah,
But the person that told me is not like somebody who bullshits. But then again, you
Right.
never know, because maybe he heard that from someone. But he said, yeah, that porn star used to. She used to live. She's from this area, but she's from the Ukraine, or she was Russian. One of the two. I forget what it was. This neighborhood is pretty. The population there is Russian, Ukrainians, and Serbs. They kind of like all lived in that area, and yeah, that's what they told
In
me.
the chat, stuck those bananas in the chat says a traffic cone.
Oh, my goodness gracious. You know what? Grown women wearing diapers doesn't worry me as much as that antibiotic resistant gonorrhea and all those antibiotic resistant sexually transmitted diseases that are coming up. Because, I mean, those are the things that are going to be dangerous, man. Especially just any antibiotic resistant strain out there. Because, there's flesh eating diseases out there. Because people are just getting injected with too many unnecessary antibiotics. That's another fucking problem that's going around. So we've got women getting shit on for 20 grand. We got porn stars, disgusting porn stars wearing diapers. We got people with antibiotic resistant sexually transmitted diseases. Is it safe to say that this culture is kind of like losing a little bit of its quality?
That's being nice.
That's being nice.
Saying they're losing a little bit of their quality. I think they lost it.
Well, now listen, you get a family recognized. Like, how is this worrying to you, or?
Of course, I would say it's worrying to me, but there's ways. Look, you got to make sure you raise your kids in good areas, and you got to just raise them the right way, and they have a better chance. There's a better chance that they won't do things like that if you just don't give a fuck about your kids. Yeah, that's what's more likely. Those are the ones that are more likely gonna end up doing stuff like that. Now, look, I know that there are men and women that are the craziest people when they were raised by their mother and father, and they were raised in good neighborhoods. But it's very few, as in compared to living single parent household, shitty communities, and all that, and bad situations, putting your kids in bad situations where they'll sell off sex and their pride just to make some money.
Jesus, I mean,
Hey, well, in the chat, the Punisher, no, the Fight Scout says, imagine you're about to bang and she takes off her diaper.
yeah, it's time to go, man.
I mean, has anybody ever been in a situation when they met a girl and she was kind of cute and you just looked at her entry areas and you said, "Oh no"?
I looked at them.
Like you just
smelled. Yeah, they get a whiff of.
No, I'm saying like you looked at it and you said, "What the?"
But
fuck?
looked, I don't know. Looked. I mean, what the hell are you seeing, man? Like,
Well,
I don't want to
she's
know.
Gaping. She's just gaping. Like she's just like you.
Oh,
This girl has been rammed, and you're just disappointed. Like, damn, they got you already,
Yeah.
didn't they?
One time that happened to me, man.
so it's like a sandwich, like a ham sandwich.
And how did precise? Did you really like this girl? I mean, that's the key. Like that happened to me. One girl that I really liked, I was very attracted to her. Found her sexy as hell. I always wanted to bang her. And when I saw that, I said, "Oh God damn!"
No,
They got her.
you know, I slipped it in, and I've never in my life felt this small, man. That's all I'm gonna say.
I got you.
She's asking if it's in yet. You're like shit.
I mean, these are horror stories, man. Halloween. We should tell all these stories on Halloween night, which
We should
is
do a
gonna
Halloween special, man.
Halloween special. We are gonna do a Halloween special. Why the fuck not, man? And we're gonna do it here on BDA Boxing, not at Second Renaissance, because I know you guys have some interesting stories to tell about the supernatural, if you will. And interestingly enough, Shepherd the Sun says my ex was a Wiccan. She had interesting stories to tell. You gotta be careful with those Wiccans. Some of them are the real deal, and some of them are just in it to fuck. But now, when you guys were talking about gaping, were you talking about the front door or the back door?
Front.
For me, it was both the entries were. Oh, it was just horrible, man. I'm still traumatized because this girl was hot back in the days. I mean, this girl was. I never heard any stories about her, never, and she was like just one of those girls you look at and you fall in love with. Like that's how, at least to me, that's how good looking she was. And both, the answer to your question is both. Like I said, somebody got her, or somebody's got her.
Yeah, somebody. A whole bunch of people, man.
Shit, I was so
Well,
disappointed. And
apology,
like
man.
I said, when I still did it anyway, because you know when you're young and horny, you don't give a fuck. Yeah, I never felt so small in my life. I was like, God damn, this is just bad.
It wasn't even necessary. Like it was.
Yeah, it was just it was a big disappointment. So at least for me, it was just very disappointing. Again, I'm not saying I want to marry this girl because I was pretty occupied in that situation already.
Mm-hmm.
But I wanted to bang this girl. I thought she was really good looking back then. But it got, like I said, very disappointing. Very
apology. Apology man would say, "You never fall for a girl." That's what he would. That's his advice
what apology
to you.
would tell me exactly. He said, "You know what he'll say?" Actually, apology would go a step further. He would say, "Recognize I'm very disappointed in you, even if this happened 20 plus years ago." In his mind, it should have never happened.
Once apology gets the taste of pussy, he's never gonna go back.
Exactly.
Not telling
Exactly.
I agree. I totally agree. I think he's already getting some, and you can see that his opinion's starting to change, just a little bit, just a little bit.
Well, that's why we don't see him around anymore because he's already probably got some fucking pussy on the side.
He's getting some pussy right now, man.
That's right. He's eating pussy. He's giving a girl colon cancer right now. That's what he's doing. He's contributing to society. All right, listen. We talked about ass fucking. We talked about recognize the Matrix's experience with gaping assholes. We talked about Deontay Wilder being possessed and being a man whore for the Illuminati. We talked a little boxing, and I think we got a lot of ground covered.
Hey, what's next weekend's fight, though?
Good question, Bucho. Good question.
I had a schedule, man.
Yeah, you had a schedule. And where is it? You don't have it. You're unprepared. Again, Vegas,
he left it in the
BDA.
He left it in the BDA cafeteria.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
He did.
By the way, recognize, shouldn't you be mopping up the floors there right now?
I already finished.
What
are you talking about? I finished.
Well, I got to go clean the toilets after, so I just wanted to make sure you got it done.
Me and Precise was hanging out in the back, checking out some of the girls in the
I don't know if it was Precise or Recognized. They left the diaper in the BDA bathroom.
That wasn't me.
John Gonzalez says, they call me colon destroyer. My goodness gracious.
John Gonzalez has no... He's a Satanist. I agree with X. He calls him a Satanist.
Well, you know what? We're going to get to that. I want to hear some of more of your stories, Santeria stories and all that on Halloween. Precise, I know for a fact, you've been living in Ecuador for a while now. I know you got to have some fucking stories about shamans and witches and all that. That's still South America. Everybody still believes in the devil and in witches over there. So I want some stories, man.
All right.
Halloween. It's going to fall on Wednesday this year. Yeah, that's right. Wednesday the 31st. Butcher, what do you think? You think we can make it that day? Halloween special?
Oh, absolutely, man.
Perfect. Perfect.
If
As
you
to
do
your
it at nighttime, somewhere Eastern time, like 6 or 7, I'll definitely hop on.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Nino Gaji says he's got a story for us. All right, so perfect. Well, we got some stories rolling in. We'll try to get Stu on as well. I don't have any personal stories that are that jarring, but there's a lot of them that I've read and that I've been told from people. So we can definitely make that one interesting. Next week,
Don't
Bucho.
bother with apology. He'll be hunting.
Yeah, apology's not gonna be.
Yeah.
He's not gonna be around, and hopefully Trap Media can come in, get his issues resolved, because he thinks we were keeping him out of here, and he thinks
No,
Precise
Trap,
has.
I guarantee you, Trap is confused with the link. That's all.
Well, I think he's confused about a lot of things too. But yeah, certainly the link, he couldn't work that one in there, and he thinks Precise had something to do with it. Precise doesn't. He can't ban people from this show. He can't. He physically can't even do it. So I don't understand why he would think the Precise. And in fact, Precise and Trap were actually agreeing about Terence Crawford being overrated. So
Yeah, I was
again,
surprised.
maybe, I don't know.
This is a rapprochement going here.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me if maybe Precise is Trap Media. John Gonzalez says Precise is going to be coming in with the Bruja diet. The Bruja diet. I got a few stories, he says.
Diet.
It reminds me of it in Mexico a couple of years ago. I think it was 10 years ago. Somebody was flying you could tell it was a robot. You know, one of those flying planes you can fly. But somebody put a witch over it, like a cloak, so it looked like a witch. And they actually put that in the 9 o'clock news. Like mainstream news, like, oh, you look at that, we got footage of a witch. Like,
The worst was it was like a shit stain on the side of a building. And it looked like Jesus, but it was a shit stain, okay? And like the next day, there's tons of candles around it and everything. It's like, man, come on.
Oh, it gives us a bad name.
That must have been a big for you to spot a shit stain on a building. It's got to be pretty big, man.
It was a girl with a prolapsed colon. She shit just on the street. And listen, it gives Latin people a bad name. It gives Latin American culture a bad name. That every time they see a fucking stain on a piece of toast or on a tortilla, it's always Jesus or the Virgin Mary. I mean, come on.
I'm waiting to see fucking Deontay Wilder in a tortilla, man.
Yeah, you're gonna catch him in an insane asylum. That's where you're gonna see him. All right.
I think Wilder's gonna stay away from Spanish stations after almost killing someone.
Man, if I were
he wanted a body, right?
Was that?
He always said he wanted a body under his.
Exactly. Now he almost got it. He almost got it. He has to be. If I were the guy inside the suit, I would sue. I would call my attorney, Anthony Shapiro, and I would get right on that, man. Get that motherfucking some what's it called? Indictments or whatever. Serves, he's got to be served, and we got ourselves a nice little payday there.
Yeah, I would too. I'm like, okay, you got to pay me. You broke my jaw. If it's true, I don't know how true that is, but.
Well, regardless of the broken jaw, I would say, look, I can't sleep at night. I got neck pain. My client's distressed, blah, blah, blah. And that's, you make it up, you add it. You add some stuff there. All right. Recognize his, I mean,
in the background.
Precise is trying to start a chainsaw there. Cut some trees or cut somebody up. I don't know. Next week, Ryota Murata takes on Rob Brandt on ESPN Plus. Antonio DeMarco takes on Maxim Dadashev via the zone.
DeMarco's still fighting?
Apparently, man, yeah. Junior welterweight. From Boston, the zone. Demetrius Andrade takes on Walter Katundokwa. Katie Taylor. Katie Taylor versus Cindy Serrano. No thanks. Tevin Farmer takes on James Tennyson. Emmanuel Rodriguez takes on Jason Maloney in the boxing series, World Boxing Super Series quarterfinals. Junior Dorticos takes on Mateusz Mastarnek. So a couple of fights next week. Why not? I mean, this Saturday. And then on October the 27th, the next Saturday, Dervyachenko versus Daniel Jacobs. Machado versus Evans. We got female boxing as well. Heather Hardy versus Shelly Vincent. Kubrat Pulev versus Huey Fury on ESPN Plus. Prograis versus Flanagan. Baranchik versus Yigit. Lots of interesting fights coming up in October, man. Pretty jam-packed. So look for those fights. I'm starting to lose my train of thought here, man. I am fucking tired. Especially after all that prolapsed colon talk and Jesus appearing in shit stains that look like Jesus. Listen, guys, let's end it right now. I want to thank everybody that was here. Recognize, precise. Thank you for being on, guys.
As always.
Oh, yeah. It's a pleasure. Always learn something new from you guys. Always learn something new. It's always an education. So thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me on.
Always. Thank you, guys. Don't forget to check out Recognize the Matrix channel. Don't forget to check out Carnival, a.k.a. Precise Punch's channel as well. If you want to find out all about what's going on about vegetarians, the vegans, that whole debate that's been going on for years now. And Recognize the Matrix has a video about Deontay Wilder. So if you want to know what happened with Deontay Wilder punching a poor guy who's probably making minimum wage, check that video out. And
yeah, it's a classic. I'll say that.
Oh, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a classic. It's going to be discussed in law schools all over the world about how you can sue somebody. Just go into a suit and the person doesn't know you're in a suit and then he punches you. Payday.
They'll use
baby.
Wilder as Exhibit A, how not to get sued.
Exactly. I get the feeling they're going to be using them as an example for a lot of things of what not to do in the future. But hey, that's not my thing. That's not my place to say. I want to give a shout out to John Gonzalez, Virtuoso, Cyril Lowe, Overhand, The Fight Scout, Undercover Asian, Violence News Network. Who else? Hawker Mustang, Nino Gadji, The Usual Suspects. You guys know who you are. Uncle Burnt Apostrophe, Steven Schneider. Thank you for the contributions as well. Shepherd of Sons. I love that name, Shepherd of Sons. Sounds like the name of a 1970s rock album. Poon Dude as well in there. So guys, thanks for joining us. Another interesting podcast. We'll be back, I guess, midweek. Right, Bucho?
Yep.
Yeah? All right, fantastic. So thanks again for joining us, guys. Oh, Azzy as well was here. Capo, Anthrax, The Quags. Thanks a lot for joining us, guys. We'll see you on the next one, folks. Take care.